Hello and welcome to Daryl's Comic School, and today we will talk about 5 tips for making comics. And the first tip is begin with the end in mind, begin with the format. As you can see, here is a layout, but when you start making comics, you may be like me. You love comics books, you like the art, you like the stories, you can draw, and so you want to make comics. And my biggest advice is to start with the end in mind, but also to start small. And the reason is the following, because if you want to start, like the comics you're looking at, these are the comics already by people who kind of mastered their art. Like maybe I'm here and I may be a level 4 or 5 and you may be here or maybe somewhere in between. But the comics that get published are almost already, like these are already veterans. Think like Zelda or Michael Jordan or your superheroes. Think of Omni-Man or Invincible. You start small and then you get big, or think about training and working out. Nobody starts out jacked. You have to train and put in the work, and then you have to make that arc. So if you like, for example, The Walking Dead or a bunch of comics, I would say know that you want to make comics like these one day, and then your first step should not to be to start writing the epic that has no end. You should start with just a one-page comic, just some drawings, some illustrations. Start out small, plan your stuff, and then do it just on one page, then do it on 2 pages, then maybe do a web comic and try different formats. And that is the first tip. The first tip is begin with the end in mind, what you want to do, and then start small. So the next tip is thumbnails, layouts, and all of these things. So you see the comic and it's a finished process, and sometimes it's mysterious. You don't know really how we got here. You don't know yet about perspectives. Maybe right now you don't know how to draw a really beautiful face and all of these things. And at the beginning, that's not so important, because at the beginning it's important that these pages, they don't start this way. They start very different. And as you can see, like this is my own comic, and this is my first page. We see a city. I stole that from a movie, and then we see a van, and it's driving, and a driver, and we see him here. And let me show you how this started. Like when you're starting out, wait a second, it's in the small book. As you can see, this is like my sketchbook from back in 2016. And right here, this is how I layouted it. You can see it in the background and look in the foreground. I mean, look at these drawings. This is how you lay out. Maybe you start with a story, you write it down, or maybe you have pictures in your head and you start scribbling them down. And as you can see, here's the van, and then here's the van, and then he's shifting the gears. And as you can see, they do match up. These layouts helped me immensely. And Adam Kubert says he starts with the script, then he does the thumbnails. Not even these are already layouts. The thumbnails would be, he picks a page. A thumbnail is this, as you can see, like this is my thumb and this is a thumbnail. So either you have a picture or you have a text, let's say soldier on a wall, and then you write here some text, and then maybe you have here the gun and the soldier, and maybe here you have the wall, and as you can see, and so maybe you do a bunch of thumbnails, and thumbnails and layouts. These will help you to break down the story the way you need it. So the next step is fail to victory. Fail to victory means that you do some work. For example, you do a drawing, like, I don't know where you start, but maybe you just start copying your heroes like this. Like I start copying Jay Lee, and then I get an idea for making comics. Maybe my heroes are the X-Men, and I think, okay, man, I want to do it. I want to draw like them, and my stuff doesn't look anywhere near the quality that my heroes can draw. But you start small and you start failing to victory. You start practicing some anatomy, and your lips look terrible and your eyes look terrible. But you start putting in the work. It's like going to the gym, and you start kind of working out. And at first, maybe you're frustrated because you don't know what to do. And then you realize that before you draw this, you need to maybe have some head shape. You have to know where the eye goes and the lips, and how to draw some lips and how to draw some hairs. And then later you learn how to ink over them. You don't know that you have some layouts, and then inks come over this. And fail to victory means that drawing comics or making comics or writing comics is like playing the cover band, but also doing a step and then learning, was this good? Doing another step. And I didn't start out with this comic. You can go back and watch my older videos. I started making stuff that was much more maybe like this, or my figures looked like this, or even worse. But I started and I finished things, and with each thing came a new piece of knowledge, and I got better and better, like working out and like going to the gym. So what's the next step? The next step is learn the fundamentals step by step. I already talked about it a bit, but somewhere here, like, what are the fundamentals? Probably, and you need to realize that making a comic is a lot of stuff. There is realizing writing is involved, realizing there is layouts involved, like this. Like here I was planning, you see, these are thumbnails, the cover, the intro page, then here what's going to happen on this page, and what are my beats, and then this is what happens on the page 2. And as you can see, this is like layouting, thumbnailing, and this is a lot of planning. So again, start small, do just 1 page at first, and then 2 pages, and then a 4-page comic. And the fundamentals is like probably a bit of anatomy, a bit of learning to draw faces, a bit of how do I draw buildings, what is perspective. And don't do everything at once. You can't do too many things at one thing. So once, how do you say, like step by step, project to project. And so I'm adding two tips more before I wrap it up. And the next tip is like beginning to end. Something needs an arc. Like when Robert Kirkman did The Walking Dead, he knew he wanted to have a zombie apocalypse, and he wanted to have Rick Grimes go from this sheriff, from this cop, from this father to a different person, and he wanted him, how would he change? Or maybe I've seen a video where you have like Harry Potter and he's a wizard's apprentice, and then at the end he's the greatest wizard in the world. Or in my story, in the first issue, it's like Dario is the weak one, and then he learns about himself and the world, and in issue 5 he will be the one who protects. So the roles are switched. You go from weak to powerful, you go from powerful to weak, from bad guy to good guy, from good guy to bad guy, from a nobody like in Breaking Bad to a somebody. And then the final tip is keep it simple. I will show you The Walking Dead when they started out. They did The Walking Dead just in black and white or gray tones, and as you can see, this panel grid pretty simple, and they tried to keep it as simple as possible, and that's always good. And if I can show you Mike Mignola, this is definitely a high level of mastery, but Mike Mignola tries to keep it as simple as he can. As you can see, beautiful layers, but as you can see in this layer, he has a pretty good visual language, but pretty simple. He just puts in the things that are really important, and so he doesn't overwork himself or put too much strain on his abilities. And where he wants to put more work in, like here, no backgrounds, then he puts more work in, but he tries to keep it simple, and that's a great advice. So I hope you could take a few things for yourself from this video, and I will wrap it up, and we see us